was like, well, Medivacs were running into his mineral lines, dropping mines, and he just wasn't reacting at all. So,
and he didn't have extra delay there.
no, he didn't have the delay to blame even. So I hope today that we see a much more comfortable looking Rain, a much more solid Rain, because we all know he has the potential to be that guy. And yeah, to introduce these players, spawning in the top right as our pink Zerg, it is Firecake.
Playing for Punchline, his opponent in the southwest position, the blue Protoss representing Team My Insanity. He is Rain.
Rain doesn't really need an introduction. He kind of burst onto the scene as one of the first Kesper players to really show us how the game is meant to be played. Before him, Protosses such as Parting and MC showed us pure aggression, raw aggression, and showed us that Protoss is a very in-your-face kind of race, and we didn't really know any different. I feel that those kind of players really kind of showed us how Protoss is meant to be played, but out of seemingly nowhere, Rain came onto the scene and just said, you know, Protoss can be played in the most stable way possible.
Yeah, not really relying on any crazy aggressive tactics or all-ins like many other players were still having success with at that time.
Just solid, fluid mechanics and played like an absolute rock. And here, he's going for a 15 Nexus, and his opponent going for a pool first, but not a 9 pool. He's going for a very macro-orientated pool. So, right to get this game on the go, I guess. It's going to be a macro game.
Yeah, Firecake doesn't want to have to worry about anything aggressive that could come out of his opponent. We've seen Wellmu, I guess as the choice example here, go for against 2 different opponents. Very fast forage on this map, hoping to catch a hatch first. Though Rain has also picked the most economic build that a Protoss can do, and you know, definitely versus a pool first on cross spawns, I gotta like Rain's build choice. Very fast gateway to follow up his Nexus first.
Yeah, exceedingly fast gateway. So Nexus into gateway into double gas. It's a solid build by Rain, and it's going to work out very well for him. Scouting doesn't get to see his opponent first, so still doesn't know what he's up against. And I mean, Zergs these days, there is the potential for 9 pool to be marching on its way to him, but upon seeing what he's up against with this reasonably late hatchery, I can't imagine him feeling any less than comfortable with this.
Yeah. So the big questions that we'll be looking forward to as the next few minutes of this game develop are, what does Rain want to do when his Cybernetics core finishes? He's going to focus on some sort of 2-base push. You're going to see a fast third. He's shown to be capable of pretty much everything in the Protoss playbook as of now.
Ooh, do you think he's going to be able to get past this queen? Ooh, gets the last hit there, so does not get to see if his opponent has gas. That's kind of big.
Yeah, I'd say pretty important. You don't want to rush out your wall too quickly if you don't have anything to worry about. Rather focus on chrono boosting out probes and getting your tech up a little bit more quickly too.
And Rain didn't even think about producing a wall, by the way. Like, the fact that he has a gateway and a Cybernetics core hidden or tucked well back in his main base, I feel that like he's very vulnerable to any sort of speedling huge timing, which, wow, looks like Firecake could potentially be aiming for that with the amount of lings that he's producing here.
Yeah, I mean, he could be about to Bly Rain, which
Dude.
Bly Rain on this map in the qualifier for last season.
And that was when Rain had a wall. 19 drones, and he stopped there. He's producing a lot of lings. 19 drones
This
with
could get ugly
39 supply. That's a lot of lings, Nathanias.
I'm quite concerned not being able to see that the gas was taken. Really, I mean, Firecake could actually just win the game right here against him. There's nowhere near enough to actually stop a torrent of Zerglings from just killing all of this.
Is this going to happen? I mean, speed's kicked in now. 32 links on the field.
First gate, second.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Zealot's in position, so he was planning to build these gateways just in time, but still not a lot of hit points on them. And he slips by the force field, so not close enough for that Zealot to actually block him in. He definitely killed a lot more of the lings than he would have otherwise, but he's going to take some damage from this build regardless.
Oh, I mean, going for the second wall off here with the sentry kind of...
that was
walks
clutch.
past.
That's like a Thimpus play right there.
That was really nice. So he's managed to buy himself a little bit more time here.
The Mothership Core will soon have enough energy to overcharge his Nexus, which he will now do. So the lings,
he's going to get that
Nexus.
Nexus.
Get the Nexus, right?
And now the pylons on the low ground off.
He cancels the extra gateway because he knows he won't be able to hold that position. But he has 2 more on the way in his main, so it's not like he won't have gateway production, but he's knocked down to 1 base, and that's not a fun place to be against a Zerg.
Goes to the Stargate follow-up with this. And what Rain did really... Oh, GG. Whoa.
Wow, he just taps out. I guess he's like, screw this. He's like, nope, let's just go to the next game because I think I'm still confident enough that I don't want to play from a position like this against someone who can now freely drag the game out as much as he wanted.
Well, we talked about how this could be a potentially a very, very long series, but Firecake just showed us that he's very capable of mixing it up. And
yeah,
Rain's
he blied
build,
him.
He blied him, man. And if you know what blying is, well, Bly's one of the cheesiest Zergs out there.
Yeah,
and
he just does crazy stuff and just wins.
Yeah, and like Bly in the last season, qualifying for Fragback Masters, knocked Rain out on that map with a very similar build. He went 15 hatch, 14 pool, 13 gas, I believe, in that order.
Straight in the lings.
Fastest speed links you can possibly go for. And Rain on that map actually got his wall up, but Bly didn't give up and just went for it and killed Rain.
Bashed it down. And in that instance, like it's like, okay, Rain, yeah, he's going to build gateways, but if he was able to get those gateways out, you know, instead of maybe one chrono boost on his probes, like, because that causes you to spend money faster since they finish faster. If he starts his gateways like 15, 20 seconds earlier, just that extra hit points for the Zerglings trying to burst it down allows the Zealot and the Mothership Core to pick up a few more kills. And just that much can be enough to make the difference, especially when you're looking at how much energy the Mothership Core needs for a Photon Overcharge.
Now, whether Firecake actually took a page out of Bly's book there, or just kind of scouted and saw, hey, it's an early Nexus, and he hasn't got a wall in, which, that's kind of risky, man. Like,
well, I mean, if you think about it from the Zerg perspective, I imagine that the Protoss probably wants to get their tech up pretty quickly when the core is done, and they don't want to put it in the wall to show the Zerg.
And the probe never saw the gas that he had,
so like, Rain didn't have anything, like, Rain had no, due to his own fault, because he wasn't able to get the scout in time, he had no reason to suspect that he would have needed a wall that fast, and therefore was caught off guard.
That initially, though, that's not a loss that we can blame on latency. Like, he got the force field up, he got the gateways up, it was just...
I'm surprised. I mean, it's like, you would think that the latency would make even building those gateways to buy him like the 5 seconds it did would have complicated that. But that's that. It's over. We're going to go to map 2 now. Overgrowth. Pretty small map.
Small map. Get to scout your opponent immediately.
Not a
you know where they
Nexus
are.
first map for sure.
Or is it?
Well, for some reason, I don't know. My brain's thinking that there'll be a fast pool. I don't know.
Like a 9 pool?
My spider senses are tingling.
Like, from what we've seen of Firecake, he tends to go with the tried and true. Like, we get to see like the 15 pool out of him throughout a series. Against Terran, he likes that kind of 12, 13 pool, and then the double extractor trick. Like, we saw that every game from him. But that being said, he's been mixing it up, man. Like the 4 hatch before pool build that he did. But against a player as solid as Rain, and the fact that he's 1-0 up in this series now against a player as competent as Rain. But, like I said, Rain didn't look very comfortable at Katowice, and the fact that he just lost that first game as simply as he did, I mean...
That was brutal.
It's a real shame for me, because when I talk about favorite players, I remember Hook used to get kind of confused that Rain was one of my favorite players along with SOS. He was like, why are these Protosses your favorite players and not like the Terrans? And I was just so in awe of how they did it, and they worked in very different ways. But here, Rain, man, looking a little bit shaky, it must be said.
Yeah. This game, looking to be most likely a gateway opening. Going to build the gateway before the Nexus this time around. So, well, at the very least, not have to worry about, there's no early pool coming anyway. But there is the potential that we've seen a lot of Protoss players do on this map, which is to follow up that expansion with a pretty quick gateway push.
So this is going to be a hatch first, fourth. Oh, is it?
Oh.
At the third? Oh. Looks like it'll be at the third rather than the gold, given the... Oh my gosh, he's going for the gold?
Well...
I mean, that kind of gives it away. And against a gateway opening, Nathanius, I don't think you could hope for any better if you're Firecake.
Like, yeah, if there was, exactly. If there's a forge in the map, then this gets complicated very quickly.
Can you explain to me, if you go for a gateway opening, why you'd make the gateway next to your Nexus rather than at the top of the ramp in this matchup? Or is that something that puzzles you too?
You know, I've heard like a lot of different reasonings for it. Like, it's easier if you get, for example, if that speedling play happens, you can like kind of protect your production more. But I'm not a Protoss, man.
I guess it's out of range of the Photon Overcharge if it does so
that's
happen.
like the #1 thing that I can think of.
So Rain, upon scouting all these bases, he will see that it is actually the gold that he has to worry about. So will this change what Rain's strategy is? Well, I imagine it has to, because if your opponent mines from that gold, his income is immediately much better. Creep spread to the golds is obviously harder to work around. Oh, gets to see when the natural, exactly when the natural is put up too.
You know, it really says something that Firecake is playing so confidently right now. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm playing versus Rain. I'm gonna have first to the goal. I'm not really worried about anything that he could do to me. And yeah, that's a nice position to be in, because oftentimes when you're playing against someone like, it's like, oh, I'm playing against Rain, or I'm in these qualifiers, I'm playing versus someone like Fantasy, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do like all these cookie cutter normal things because I don't think anything weird will work. Firecake's like, no, this is the way I like to play. I'm gonna make it happen.
What Firecake's done really well, and I have to congratulate him on it. It's like he's kind of brought the weird to Rain in the first series, and he's kind of bringing the weird again. But it's not like he's desperate for a win.
Yeah.
It's not like he's pulling at random options here that don't work at all. He's really just playing solid.
Go back to what I said earlier, man. He's trying to be the jigsaw here, pull him into his puzzles.
Jigsaw,
yeah.
The web of Firecake, so to speak. So, what do you think? Well, Forge goes down for Rain, and if this Overlord does get to scout this,
I'm actually really surprised that he's going straight for a Forge. To me, getting the Forge like after Warp Gate started like this, instead of extra gateways to put some pressure on, gives me the impression that Rain is not looking to make any type of early push anytime soon.
Yeah, like Forge usually indicates that you're going to go for that +1 upgrade fairly soon.
His Warp Gate will be done way before +1 attack. So that to me makes it feel like is better opportunity to do something with +2. But that's way down the line.
Giving your opponent that amount of time when
like
he has a gold base.
Maybe he pushes with the sentries and recalls, but I don't think that he's going to make any big push with like force behind it. I feel like at least if he does, it just won't be efficient.
Now he hasn't spent that gas on anything just yet. Is up to 200 gas now without spending any of it. I mean, oh, the +1 does start. 2 gateways on the way.
Yeah. So his Warp Gate's pretty much done, so it's just he's got a while before he can really make much of this. He could still warp in and try to do some pressure.
Firecake's thrown down a 4th with 13 drones. And if we look at the probe count, actually, Rain does have a sufficient lead here. So he's been probing up very, very well. And Firecake had to play reasonably safe because he didn't know whether his opponent was going to be throwing anything at him. But by the looks of it, Rain won't be for quite some time yet.
Yeah, and I think seeing that if he gets a glimpse of that Forge, that should also make him feel really comfortable. So he knows, like, well, he's researching an upgrade. It's going to take a little while now.
Cannon at the front here. Now,
he's a little bit paranoid still. Like, he saw the speedlings too. So for Rain, who maybe doesn't play against someone like Firecake, even if he knows about him from his teammates, My Insanity, he might not have like as good of a read on this guy, and that makes it harder. But he's like, okay, well, fully saturated gold. And then if that Phoenix actually doesn't check the 3rd base, he's only going to go right to that natural expansion. So I don't even think he's fully aware that his opponent's on 4 bases right now.
Now, if we know Protoss well, that Twilight Council should start pretty soon, but I think it's a bit mistimed if he is going for that build where he gets the fast +2, still getting sentries here. Like, Firecake's economy is getting out of control here, Nathanius. Absolutely out of control.
Yeah, this is something that can spiral out very quickly, and then with this layer finishing up, could even try to do a lot more.
These lings, though, are they going to
force field the Zerglings in?
Only gets 3 here.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised. I was like, Danny. When I looked at his build, I was
38 lings on the way for Firecake. Like 57 drones against 58 probes. You may think, oh, that's fine for Rain, isn't it? Well, with that gold base being up for as long as it has been, and the 4th behind all of this too for Firecake, it's a really dicey situation to be in. And without anything like Colossi, any big power-hitting units on the field, I feel that Rain's just in a position to get outmassed. But he's kind of said to himself, hey, look, my opponent's got the gold, sure, and he's got a natural behind this as well, but I'm just going to slowly and methodically take my 3rd and play this as if it's a normal game.
And other important things, if these Zerglings catch a few of these probes, you talk about, you know, what Firecake has, and +2 blink is nice, but with moving into Hydras, there's not even a robotics facility on the map to Muslim. Like, Colossi are so far away, Rain has to play this incredibly slowly, because if this army gets caught out somewhere he can't force field it into 8 different pieces, he's just going to lose a straight-up fight with how much Firecake should be able to afford in the next few minutes.
This is a lot of Zerglings on the field. Like, this is an incredible amount of Zerglings. Getting Hydra, getting Hydralisk range. That creep spread is almost at Rain's door here too, spreading from the gold. So very quick. Not really saturating up his fourth, by the way. He's churning out units at a phenomenal rate here. So
yeah, he's using that fourth like a macro hatch at this point.
yeah, he really is. And I mean, he still can't spend all of his resources. He's keeping a good count on what his opponent Rain is doing. The Robo is only just about to be completed here, but man, what an insane amount of units. Now Roach is on the way. Look at this supply.
Yeah, this is insane. There's not really many
Holy
zealots,
crap.
so he has to play. This is one of those things where you could even go so far as to say, like, Firecake's like, yeah, if he misplaces those force fields with that extra bit of latency, you're gonna have a rough time stopping my links from getting on top of all those stalkers.
Oh,
and here
man.
he comes, moves in. The first force fields on the left side are pretty good. The Zerglings are still able to hit him on the right side. Those Hydras not quite in range though. A solid at the beginning, but he's still actually losing sentries and burning more and more force fields.
Certainly. And where are the
I love
reinforcements?
this. The Hydras help target on the Zealots, so the Zerglings can slip into the natural. And the Hydras will escape, continuing to pour out, as you said earlier, those Roaches and now the Lings. But that's a ton of force fields burned and sentries lost.
Yeah, that was a lot of force fields. And despite having better upgrades in session, 118 Zerglings
Actually,
down, but 10 Stalkers.
Yeah, I was quite surprised he didn't even lose the sentries. Quite a few of them are just weak, but without any energy, they're still quite useless. He's going to move in now on top of the army, blinks the first wave back. So Rain controlling as best he can, but with the creep spread here, he can reinforce absurdly fast too. And he's just going to run in, pick off this photon cannon, and actually he's going to focus on the Nexus.
This is incredibly ballsy by Firecake, and it looks like he will get a Nexus too.
Yeah, Pylon unpowers the cannon and pretty much everything else over there. And he's just going to run into the main base. Rain, he's having some struggles.
Yeah, he's running into the main base, and Zerglings kill probes incredibly fast, and now taking out this huge probe line here. And look at the reinforcements on the map too. He's going to surround his army here.
That creep spread to Muslim straight from the gold. Firecake really showing us what you can do with the openers like this against Protoss. And it's like, okay, he had this nice wall here, but he's going to spill through this as well. He could actually unpower gateways and the cannon with that one pylon on the right side of the third too.
Oh, and a superior upgraded army by Rain. But look at Firecake's money. It's not really going down. Yes, his gas is low, but
he's a rich boy.
Look at the probe count, 38 probes down at this point in time.
This is actually happening. Firecake is he's in a really sick spot because even with all the minerals he has, he's already shown what he can do with big swells of Zerglings, and
what a
pretty crazy.
What a simple strategy by Firecake, but it's working incredibly well. He's macroed very well with it. So many Lings initially to bait out all those force fields and kind of trade out with the Stalkers, but now 58 drones to the 35 probes, still working off a gold base. He's got a fourth base behind this too that he can saturate at any point in time that he needs. But right now, the only thing that he needs is gas to keep it reinforcing this army. One thing that Rain does have now in the mix is a Colossi, which will change how even these fights are. I don't think they'll be so even anymore. And Firecake, he's really going to have to build up a larger army here. Maybe think about furthering his tech.
Yeah, this is... I mean, he's starting to take the gases on that fourth base, so he'll have a little bit more to work with in that department. But even then, one Colossus could still be a little bit tricky to manage. His force fields are going to be most important at this phase, because look at the way he's spreading himself out. Now the second Colossus showing up is important, but Thermal Lance still has a little bit left to go, and if he fights right before it, it'll be the best engagement he can get.
Good force fields, keeping those high damage Hydras out of the fight. And with that, just melted all of those Lings there, so nice engagement by Rain.
And now Thermal Lance is done, so even if the Hydras were to get past force fields, he doesn't have to move the Colossi forward to actually hit them.
Oh, big force fields here. Keeping the Hydras out of range. But Rain, wow, that was a ballsy blink forward there into these Hydras and Roaches, and he's going to suffer some losses.
Yeah, he's recognized how few force fields there are, and he's ready to just move forward and trade with that superior economy that he's had throughout this game. And okay, the Roaches die, so he backs the Hydras off.
He's on to creep already.
Yeah, carefully playing with the few units that he does have. And this Colossus that came out in the natural gets targeted a little bit, unfortunately not able to pick that off. So the Colossi are really being allowed to do a lot of work, and now Rain's starting to get some really good trades.
Some really good trades here, especially with the upgrade advantage that he has. But at this point, he's just surviving. Like, it's Firecake that's kind of toying with Rain here. 15 Roaches, 12 Lings on the way.
And because he keeps depleting all the sentry energy, as well as killing sentries, he can't really move out, because he'll just get surrounded by that insanely large army that Firecake's had.
Yeah. Like, the longer this game goes on, the higher the Colossi count gets, and this Roach Ling Hydra mix won't be dealing as much damage as it has been. That being said, Firecake, he's taken a 5th base now, and if he gets to 5 gases...
And that Spire coming in, too.
Exactly, Nathanius. A Spire with 5 gases, that is pretty much the magic number to have a
He never took the gases
Ling
on the gold
Muta
base.
army going. That's right, actually. And
It's mining out. It's mined out of minerals. He never took the gases. I guess...
Has mined out, actually, now. Wow.
Yeah.
That's,
If you hatch first to the gold, it will be mined out at 17 minutes and 50 seconds. There you go, kids.
Good to know. Good to know. And Firecake, he did that rather handily. And now the supplies, they're kind of closing in here.
I'm surprised
Wow.
he never actually hadn't thought about that. He never took the gases from that base. I can understand it to get all the lings out early on, but I figured he would have took it when he took the gases on his 4th. But oh well.
Firecake very scarcely saturating like his main especially, but even his natural not going up to the optimum 16 out of 24,
Yeah, he wants that
19
money,
out of 24
he
here.
wants that money from the more exposed, the further out that he has to reach bases.
Yeah, that being said, it's still having like
Going into Corruptors too, so it looks like he wants to do a big push before he tries anything Mutalisk related. Maybe not even thinking about Mutalisks at all.
no upgrades by the way with Firecake style. No Evo.
This is like
on the
some
field.
Wings of Liberty level stuff here, man. It's just like Corruptors, kill the Colossi, and then everything else just wins straight up head to head.
Yeah,
Rain might not be expecting this because very few players do this style.
if you can get rid of the Colossi, you're left with 0 AoE against you, and you can hopefully overwhelm him with numbers, but man, it's so risky going for that because the ground army of Rain, even without the Colossi, it's still incredibly strong with that 3-0. Rain scouting here sees a 5th base, but doesn't see the gases. I think the gas count kind of thing. I really feel that Firecake's kind of missing out here. Oh, that's some nice hallucination going down.
Yeah, if these can bait out the shots of the Corruptors, that'd actually be really sick. And they do, so the force fields get thrown in. He contaminates a few of these Colossi, but, 2 of the hallucinations being targeted down before any of the real units is a big pain. The spread is still quite nice for most of the army, but the ground units are taken out, and there's still a Colossus left.
Rain stands strong, and now for the first time in this game...
Some clutch hallucinations.
Clutch hallucinations, and for the first time in this game, they're equal on supply. And when you're fighting against this Protoss army, which is incredibly stocky, and you're relying on killing those Colossi...
I like that you said that this is a very stocky... This is like a Wings of Liberty Protoss army.
It definitely is, and just adding Immortals in there to take out the Roaches, your Stalkers soon to be +3, weapons... I mean, wow. Rain's in really good shape now. For a while, he was hanging in there. But Firecake, he never advanced from this style. I think normal Protosses die before this happens, so he's never really been in this situation. But now,
yeah,
Firecake's struggling, man. He's really, really struggling.
Yeah, Rain's really starting to pull the reins in on this game as DT spread out.
Are there any Overseers on the field? I don't think there's any Spores.
To, each base. There's no Overseers on the map. Does he have any Spore Crawlers? Nope.
Nope. Oh, these could be GG DTs, guys. That is 1 DT for every mining base right here. No Overseers being warped in or morphed even. And DTs.
Here we go.
Start chopping,
bing,
guys.
Bing, 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 bing.
Oh, man. And when you have that happen in every base of yours and you're already feeling like, oh, I can't beat that army.
It's hard to put into words that feeling when you're like, if you're Firecake playing this game, suddenly your whole screen just lights up red on that mini-map. Even DT's being mixed into the army because he knows there's no Overseers, so the Corruptors are going to come in and work on the Colossi.
He just cut off the whole army.
Oh, man. And these DTs are just slashing away at everything in this force.
Wow. I think that's all you can say is wow. I mean... Holy crap, what a game.
Damn. That was a sick game.
I thought Rain was dead for quite some time there. But the real, like, he hung in there. Despite losing his natural, losing, like, 30 probes, Firecake stuck on the same thing, the same composition, without upgrades. He never thought about moving on from that, and that really killed him. That really cemented his death there.
Yeah, I think what you said was very important, that when he made that first push with the Corruptors, that's like... You were softened up so much that I should be able to kill you here. And then when he didn't kill him there, most other people he probably would have beaten. So he wasn't expecting him, I guess the power of Rain.
Yeah, it just didn't feel like Firecake knew what to do next.
Yeah.
Like...
He's like, I guess I'm going to build more Roaches, Lings, and Corruptors.
Like, I just killed your natural. I killed every probe at your natural. I killed a lot of probes in your main too, and your third. And, I've still got the gold, and I'm on 4 bases, and you've barely got 2. Like, you should be dead, right? You should be dead. But no, Rain just hung in there, got his Colossi count up very safely, and then, like, he didn't take a bad fight from that point on. Just kept force fielding off the Hydras, playing safe, getting those upgrades going. And Firecake, like, he didn't have one Evo down on the field. And I really
No.
feel like you need those upgrades. Let's say Firecake decided to saturate his fourth a little bit earlier and switch into that gas and get, like, maybe 2 Evos up.
Yeah,
And switch into or Roach Hydra
Then
Viper.
I think there's something that you can do there if you go up to Vipers, or even if he just banked a ridiculous amount of gas by taking the gold base ones at the same time as his fourth, and then the Spire finishes and he goes into mutas.
Like, he stuck on, like, max 60 drones that game, you know? Despite having the gold, and he took the fourth and kind of used it as a macro hatch, but let's say he just sprinkled in a few drones here and there instead of using that amount of units. Like, I think he'd have been in much better shape. That being said, even with this theory going on, he still made that a really, really close game. Like, I thought Firecake was going to be 2-0 up in the series for quite some time.
That would have been, I think, pretty crazy.
Pretty darn crazy. Third map of the series, by the way, Varney. Now, this is a map that we've seen a lot of crazy Zerg play on.
Yeah, some Zergs, like Snoot, willing to go full madness
Gold,
with
gold.
gold base, and it didn't work out terribly well for him against Showtime. But then we've also seen, and I really like Serral's play on this map. He basically just like, I start with a free natural that can't be attacked. I'm just gonna take a rain check on this and not even didn't even like touch it the whole entire game. That went on quite a while.
Yeah. ZVP is changing a lot.
Yeah.
At like a phenomenal rate, too.
Especially considering that a lot of the Swarm host styles are going to be out the window and some new ones potentially coming in when that patch goes through in a few weeks.
Within the month, right?
It's after when the season rolls over. So, like, that's like maybe April 5th or 6th after WCS finals.
Whoa. It's pretty soon, man.
It's coming. The times, they are a-changing. And this guy's playing pretty well without relying on the Swarm host's Firecake, that is.
I like that you just quoted Bob Dylan.
Thanks, Ben.
You're welcome. I didn't know you knew that song. Anyhow, so this game. So Rain kind of gone for the Gateway Expand last game, and it actually worked out for him despite being against a guy that expoed on the gold. So I'm kind of excited to see what Firecake chooses to do this series. Is, you know, he's playing against a player that's very known for playing solid macro defensively and doing it exceptionally well, and he did that pretty darn well that game, because I thought he was dead, but he managed to come back out of nowhere. So, what do you opt to do this game on this map?
There seem to be a lot of different ways that players take it, because as a Protoss, you are untouchable on 2 bases. We look at a map like Deadwing, where Firecake was able to get a lot done early on. Most of that comes out of how much space you have to cover, how much space you have to protect. But you could be really greedy on this map and then move into that afterwards. I'm actually quite surprised that Rain is choosing to open up with a Forge. Is he expecting some gold-based shenanigans?
Or even like a hatch first in the back of the base? Does he know a method of cannon rushing, or expecting a hatch outside because that helps creep spread more?
I'm sure the evil consulate of Protoss may have figured out a new cannon rush for this map.
I'm very much... Oh.
I mean, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see something insane.
Did this drone... He just totally bypassed where that probe was going.
Huh.
Now...
We are seeing that hatchery on the low ground play, though. And Rain has a probe on his natural, and he's hitting 400 minerals, so I don't think any type of aggressive play is going to come out of him. There's the Nexus. But already, Firecake is just kind of... He could always go for a really fast third base, too, and take the one in his natural. But I'd actually really like to see him take that either fourth base or do something weird with the gold, because I feel like with the way that it helps you creep spread for such a long map, it's also very nice.
Yeah. Like, that Forge, though, it really accomplished nothing apart from delaying this Nexus. It's a 150 mineral investment, guys. And what do you get with the Forge? Well, you can make cannons. You can also get upgrades later on, but at this point in time, first and foremost, it's about cannons. So he didn't really get to cannon rush a base at all. His opponent opened up pool first, which makes cannon rushes in general harder, but then got to see which base he was taking pretty darn late. And we do see the Firecake went for the outer base, and now he's going to take his natural. So
okay. He's not going to go too crazy. He'll get that bit of extra creep spread that taking the low ground base will give as well.
Late gases by Firecake. In fact, no gases at all so far, so he's not going to rely on those speedlings to deny probes early on.
Yeah.
Just going to be droning up like a madman for the time being.
I think he's inspired enough fear in Rain's heart that we shouldn't see any early move outs by the Protoss for fear of those potential speedlings that could have come in. And he made sure that he would get that probe scout. So this time around, Firecake can actually play a little bit on the greedier side of things if he so chooses. And I actually wouldn't mind seeing that mix up, that little shake up.
Not only is his build a little bit greedier by not going for gases, but, and when I say greedier, I don't mean not safe, but he also gets to see, with that Overlord, when that Cybernetic score finishes, which is pretty much now. Now his opponent has the ability... Whoa, making a Stargate right there? I mean, that Overlord just moves over to the right, would be able to see it, but now Rain has the option to make units can actually hit air and clear out that Overlord, whereas for the time being, Firecake's just sitting pretty right now.
And he is just building drones.
So, I mean, he's seen that Gateway isn't producing anything just yet, and
he gets to see the Stargate. So now he's like, oh, well, you're either going to go Phoenix or Oracle, both of which can be dealt with by, of course, building Queens, which I need, but also Spore at each base, and then I can just keep building drones.
Whenever you see a Stargate as a Zerg, you know that you're not going to get killed by any sort of ground army anytime soon, because that's a huge investment in that Stargate. So what do you want to do? You build drones. You just drone up like a madman, and you make sure...
Drones.
And we see it as an Oracle.
Yeah, you had players in the old days, like Hyun, who would even just build 2 spores in each base, just because he knew, he's like, I know I'm not going to get hit, so I just make sure that you can't kill anything with air units, and then I'm 100% safe. One per base is generally more the norm, so maybe a drone or 2 gets picked off here, but that's why you build so many as Firecake.
This is one of those maps, too, where, especially at your natural, the space between both your gases is actually pretty huge.
Yeah.
So covering that whole base with just 1 spore, maybe you'll have 2 queens over there and 1 spore.
Yeah, this is a map, I think, where we can definitely relate on that. Can't cover it with 1 turret against mutas.
But they can't cover it with 1 turret against Banshees either. What a beautiful, beautiful time I have.
Another reason I hate TVT.
So Firecake actually gets to see exactly where this Oracle is flying to also. So 58 drone count, still droning up, by the way. Getting the Lair, getting the Roach Warren. Man, Firecake's looking quite good right now. And third base is being taken by Rain, so... Ooh.
Well, this is exactly what we talked about. He was able to just poke in from one side, get a few drones.
Pop, pop, pop.
Shouldn't get a crazy amount, but like we were talking about, he's just building drones because he knows he can get away with just building drones.
The Void Ray. Now, we've seen Rain put Void Rays to pretty darn good use in just small numbers. And I got a feeling that on a map like this, they're good for defensive purposes against small numbers of roaches, especially before speed, as they deal a lot of damage. But we saw Rain against Serral in their match on Deadwing, where he amounted a number of Void Rays to about 3. Like, not a huge investment. Then he flew over to a base with a Mothership Core and just took out a base.
Yeah.
And just recalled. And on
a
map like this...
You just overcharge that base.
Yeah, on a map like this, heading to that natural, it's pretty darn easy to get into. And with the threat of Phoenix on the field, having an Overlord spread, you can get there pretty darn easily.
I'm blown away. He's just built straight up 75 drones and getting that infestation, but he's going to go past 80 before we hit the 10-minute mark here.
Oh, do you think we're going to see Swarm Host from Firecake this game,
I'm getting that impression. Like, he could still just be doing the most greedy thing ever and go right for a Hive. Although I think this makes more sense because otherwise he would die to any 3-base push.
One thing that I'm always surprised about by Firecake's play against Protoss specifically is how late he is to get Evos. He really prioritizes getting his macro up, getting the units out.
Yeah, I mean, he just played stupidly greedy this game. Like, this was actually insane that he's 83 drones in 10 minutes.
He got away with it. I mean, what can Rain realistically do at this point?
He's going to Swarmos. There's nothing that Rain can do with the Robo not just now starting. Like, Gateway units are never going to break a Swarmos push like this, especially when you don't have an Observer yet, so you couldn't even think about trying to kill him.
Yeah, I mean, like, you call it stupidly greedy, but if you can get away with it, is it stupid or is it incredibly smart?
Well, I mean, it's the kind of thing where, like, you get, like, this Gateway push, and you're like, well, he could have saved a few drones there, but it gets the Oracle, too.
Losing the Oracle's quite a big deal, actually. That's no longer permanent scouting information. This is a decent army moving out, but this is going to do nothing against Swarmhost. And it's been spotted by Firecake.
I think a 4th base on the left side could be denied, but there hasn't been one started just yet. Still spreading creep in that direction, actually. And maybe even blocking where a hatchery could be put there. Yeah,
I think it was, yeah.
He killed his own creep tumor. He's like, yeah, I don't need that one.
2 Evos start now, along with the 4th, if you're looking for timings of Firecake. And man, starting your first Evos around the 11-minute mark, that's incredibly late. But
actually, losing that Oracle that you mentioned earlier too, he even with the
no
Void Ray,
detection now.
yeah, he couldn't pick off any Oracle, any Swarmhouse if he wanted to.
The bravest mushroom of them all.
I'm gonna go on an adventure.
He's just.
He's the bravest little Swarmhouse. He's gonna
And,
die.
He's gonna get spotted.
I mean, there's still. Is there an observer here? No. Oh, he actually got away.
Oh, I like this, Nathanius. Charge. As soon as he saw that Swarm Host, he got charge. And if I've seen Korean Protosses do anything well, it's where they have warp prisms around the map, and they start doing damage absolutely
I
everywhere.
believe that is a warp prism moving up the right side of the map now. So immediately those zealots are going to become a big factor. Though this is where Firecake should recognize. That's going to be his weakest point, is everywhere that his Swarm Hosts aren't.
Good
He's already
static.
got a lot of static defense.
Yeah, multiple Spore Crawlers, and Rain does see this. Maybe Firecake didn't yet, but
he's
throwing
like, there's
down
got
a
to
few
be
spores.
somewhere that's open here. He's like,
Man.
I'm not giving you time of day. Okay, now he does come over here.
Oh,
Warp in some
man.
zealots, but here the Queens and Roaches were already aware of this. They were coming. And, oh, gets me some sentries caught off guard by the
did
Locusts.
Warp Prism die too?
No, it's still
Okay.
alive. He made it out.
Double Robo Colossi in production here, using Queens and Roaches to take down these Zealots. You see that a lot of players get Ling upgrades to deal with these run-bys, but man, Firecake's just relying on static and a lot of Queens right now, and just a handful of Roaches, just enough Roaches to deal with that kind of pressure.
Yeah, and he's even got his Swarm Host rallies
Oh, man.
spaced out just well enough to cover all angles he could be attacked from. These Zealots are like, let's kill some drones.
Don't yet
like,
have charge.
there's no drones here yet.
Oh, and these Queens and Roaches head on over. Yeah. We'll start dealing with this. He's getting a lot. I love the amount of static that he has, by the way, especially at his natural. Like, we talked about how exposed the base stat potentially is, and Firecake just kind of says, oh, it's exposed? Well, I'm going to put a lot of static there.
He's just writing it off as anything he'll have to worry about.
Ooh.
Somehow he manages to slip in, I guess, through the main base with that Warp Prism and get some Zealots in here. It's like, yeah, let's run to the natural. And then there's a bunch of Spines.
Yeah.
I actually like that he goes for the Spore Crawlers here, because he's trying to open the gate for a later harass to come in, because he can't never actually hit these.
It's also worth noting where these Spines are. He's wrapped them around his hatchery. So if his opponent...
he couldn't just focus on the hatchery and
Yeah,
ignore
if
them.
his opponent went for a hatchery kill, well, it's a lot harder because of the surface area. So, Rain, what's he trying to do here? He's trying to limit this creep spread, and he's trying to out-expand his opponent.
Has he
put him
gone?
his own force.
Has he gone for a... Yeah, he's got the Vipers. He's got the Vipers on the map now.
So much static defense, Nathanius. 9 Spines, 3 Spores.
I mean, hey, it's stuff that doesn't cost supply and deals a ridiculous amount of damage. It's a very important part of Firecake's strategy.
Oh, big blink.
Wow! He's just gonna jump right in on top of this and try to pick off all these Queens, but he pulls in the Colossi!
The Colossi get killed. The Warp Prism's down. Oh, this is
Rain.
Colossi. What's it?
Well, he definitely wasn't expecting to see those Vipers, yeah, because like otherwise I think it's such a cool move that he blinks up and then the Colossi just walk up.
The Hive. That could be a big pickoff here. No more Vipers, but is running over to the natural here.
Well, all of this is going to die at some point or another now, but he's going to move some units into the third base as well, trying to focus this down. The static defense of the Hydras. I feel like he should be able to pick this off.
I think the Hydras might kill it just in time here.
Yeah.
Looks like they will.
Gets pretty damn close, though. Actually, okay.
But the natural, this is where the damage is really being done. I mean, Locusts are
Gotta at
finally
least get
cleaning
that
this up.
hatchery. Okay.
Wow. I mean,
That's an absurd amount of resources to lose.
yeah, I want to see the resources lost have here, because I feel that Range chucked away an army for realistically what here? Just one base? I don't even think he killed a lot of drones, or 17 drones is definitely not worth it for how many units he lost. And Firecake, man, he's retained pretty much all his Swarm Hosts. And
2 Warp Prisms on the way. Rain is going to renew his efforts to break into his opponent's base. But, wow, this has been a very topsy-turvy type of game. He's going to start up 2 Stargates, and he's realizing, like, okay, this guy's actually much more difficult to kill than I anticipated.
well, this guy actually puts up way more static than most Zergs ever would dream of. And yeah, for good reason.
It's
I mean,
so cool when you see that, though, because everyone talks about what's the weakness of Swarm Hosts. It's like, oh, you're vulnerable to this. And Firecake's like, well, you know what? You float a lot of minerals when you do this, so just build a bajillion Spores and Spines, and that's just never going to be a problem.
never going to be a problem. This is a big target now for Rain. Very low health hatchery. Getting a Spire is Firecake. Whenever I saw Stefano go for this kind of style, he always used to get double Spire and used to go for double upgrades here. Leaving just a few Hydras here.
Yeah, I feel like eventually we're going to see a big, big Corruptor Viper swell to catch anything like that mothership that could try to cloak and give a forward position against the Locusts. This is brilliant.
Yeah, that's. Oh, he doesn't even have vision of this spot either.
This is actually fantastic. He's really using this map, and I think Firecake's starting to realize that there's something weird going on, but he can't quite figure it out.
Oh, this
now
Overlord
he
spread.
spreads them out. He's like, okay, I want to see everything. Now he knows, so that's actually very important, but he's still going to be able to warp some units in.
Certainly is. Zealot warping on the right side here, but Firecake pretty darn quick to catch it here and does catch them as they warp in.
That was very important for Firecake
Look at
to
this
actually
spread, by the
notice.
way, this Overlord spread.
Yeah, even though he didn't have anything in place to stop the warp prisms from getting there, he was like, I think something's back there, and then spreading the Overlords out. That was actually very quick how he did that.
Yeah, he realized and anticipated, hey, where am I weak? And did I just see something crawl down each side of the map here? By the way, one thing I love by Rain, the fact that he's just taking bases. He realizes there's not going to be any pressure over on his side of the map, so he's just taking bases, lots of bases at that. I mean, at worst, he has roach run-bys happen, which can be dealt with by either DTs or cannons, even both. Whoa, macro hatches.
He just wants to have the ultimate bank of larva.
Lava, I guess it's health as well that you can suck out with the Vipers.
I mean, if you try to blink up, you're going to get blocked too, moving, right? I don't know.
Corruptor's coming out in the field now, so those air units...
You can pick off those warp prisms finally.
Yeah, that's always
Thorn
nice.
in your side, which, I mean, if he was going to try to make a move, like soon would always like, oh yeah, you know, sentries are useless here.
Poor sentries, man. Did use the hallucinations before he killed his sentries.
I mean, he's not maxed out yet, which is the only reason why that was a little weird. Well, I guess the Void Rays will max him out faster.
I mean, like, what purpose does sentries serve at this point? They get hallucinations out, but... I mean, he knows what his opponent's doing at this point. All the tech's been revealed. And force fielding off your opponent, what you need right now is firepower and an air army. This poor Warp Prism just getting boxing bagged into the corner. But the Warp Prism does find space. Ooh. But, oh.
You know, at this
Firecake.
point, if Firecake has enough units to kill the Zealots, I kind of like you forcing Rain to just keep himself from even building up a bank, because he's just throwing away hundreds of minerals at a time without really getting anything for it.
Every time, oh, look at this. Rain, he saw where the Locust Wave was going and chose to just bypass it, and in the process takes out a base.
Yeah. The thing is, money's not really the biggest issue, I feel, for Firecake in this game. So it's not like the worst thing ever. As long as he doesn't get into that awkward position where those warp prisms were able to really slow him down for a while. Good tempted feedbacks. One of the reasons why, in case you guys are wondering, is like, why are there so many Overseers with these? Because it makes clicking on those Vipers very tough.
Yeah, should be using Changelings constantly. You get to see where your opponent is, and it's kind of annoying clicking on all those Changelings, but also they don't get killed by feedbacks anymore.
Yeah. It's a smart thing to do, because if you have like Corruptors stacked on Vipers, like even if they're all clumped on top of each other, if you click on it, you'll get whatever has energy. So having the Overseers in there is very nice as well. He's gonna take his opponent's gold. He's like, no, get out of here.
I like that. I mean, whenever it's a split map scenario and you're against a unit that trades efficiently,
He wants to force Firecake to relocate.
he wants to force him to relocate, but also wants to kind of just mine minerals on his side of the map. I mean, if you go by the idea that the further away a base is, the harder it is to mine from, well, if you start mining from bases that not only are hard to mine from, but they're also your opponents, well, that works out well for you. And, wow.
Ooh, does get some abducts in on these expensive units, but if Rain gets away with the amount of bases he's looking to have, I guess it doesn't really matter at this point. What he's buying himself is he's creating a little bit of space that will allow him to deny resources to his opponent.
Really good use of the abducts here.
Cons.
Like, that was really nice play by Firecake.
Which,
Just abducting units, using it with his Swarm Host wave, and also he had the Overseer so that you could see the invisible units constantly. I just felt that was really, really good play. Like, a lot of people, you kind of see them try and move forward with this Viper, Corruptor, Overseer ball, and they just seemingly get shot and feedbacked and killed by Tempest. But here, he was using the Swarm Host as well, and Rain's army hasn't got to full air mode
like,
yet.
I want this base.
How do you feel about Void Rays? Oof, the Swarm Host,
I
man.
mean, if the Void Rays could all fight the Corruptors at once, if he like maxes out on them, then they're great. But when you duck them, that's when it gets tricky. I'm not 100% sure. The thing is, if you ever clear out the Corruptors and you can fight as one, The Void Rays will wreck spores very, very fast. So there's that. I don't know, though.
I feel that Void Rays almost force out Infestors, which also I wouldn't really want to play against.
Yeah. To be honest, I feel like we don't really see this too much in the Korean scene, so I don't have like a perfect image in my head of what the Protoss response to this should be, because everybody seems to have their own way of dealing with it.
The old Blinding Cloud on cannons, yeah.
Melee range static defense is not the most useful.
The old DT, though, coming in, slicing up some Hydra face.
Yeah, and he's, you know, for every mineral that he can deny, it's quite nice. Although losing this base this quickly will suck. He knows that the Locusts aren't here.
Now, I tell you what, without having any fungal, these units have nothing to stop them from clumping and being a pretty efficient force here.
I love this because as he pressures here, there's no more Locusts heading towards the gold base, so Rain is actually able to mine and continue to deny those resources while he trickles at this static defense.
Ooh.
And now this gold base, there's no way he hasn't pulled enough money off of it for it to pay for itself, so that nice forward position is very, very cool.
Trying to warp in here too, save
He's killing
the base
units
again.
that cost money to Muslim.
Certainly is. The Swarm hosts come out, or the Locusts come over though, and they will put an end. Ooh. Dealing a lot of damage on the space already.
Yeah, and Rain positioning himself with right side. Like, how many Swarm hosts are there on the map? There's not even that crazy amount of cookers. 22. Yeah, he's got a very sizable force. Thing is, with how few bases there are in this map, pretty soon Firecake will have mined out enough from his other bases that losing drones will actually benefit him, since he has most of the money he would need in the game anyway, or at least that he'd be able to get. So he can have more Swarm hosts, or in this case maybe Corruptors and Vipers.
Rain's on 7 bases here, Nathanius.
That's pretty sick.
The 5 of his opponent.
His reaction to this Swarm host play is pretty damn awesome.
I'm still wondering. Oh, nice abducts here though. Onto spores, onto corruptors. I tell you what though, these swarm hosts are very exposed, and that's a huge storm on all those swarm hosts.
He's got a lot of money, but if he can make enough ground in between waves, and that's still very, very nice. As this gold base, he's still been mining off of it.
That's a large warp in here.
Like, when you think about it, Rain, if both of these players can never cross the center of the map, like to really push each other, then Rain is going to theoretically just mine more money than Firecake ever can this game, and finally picks off that hatchery that was weakened so long ago.
Oh, the sad thing is, even though he's mining more, and I mean, this base does eventually fall here, so that's a nice little pickup for Firecake. He stops his opponent from mining out one of his potential bases, but Firecake's still trading way more efficiently with these Locusts, as they don't cost anything.
Yeah.
So these Zealot
it's
run
hard
buys,
to beat that.
yeah,
that's a good deal, Ben.
Yeah, these Zealot run buys, while they're dealing damage, they're still dying. Like, losing 10 Zealots for a 350 mineral hatchery. 350 minerals because it's the drone combined.
Yeah.
But it's still not a good trade for you. And we can see that in the banks.
Yeah, when Firecake has enough money to actually use a Swarm host to take the Watchtower, he's not concerned about much.
That being said, Rain is getting together a very, very scary army here.
Yeah, he's
a lot of air.
He's starting to much more heavily invest into the Tempests.
And if your opponent has 20 Swarm hosts, which is 60 supply wrapped up in anti-ground, and you no longer have any ground, well, man, that's a time where you need tons of Spore Crawlers, and you need to camp your little butt off, which Firecake looks like he knows exactly what he's doing. 8 Spore Crawlers on the way right here.
Yeah, just continuing to push the static defense, and finally, you mentioned this earlier, some Viper play will come into it. But those Zealots are just a huge waste of resources. This reminds me when I guess I don't know if it's like necessarily comparable, but I feel like I remember watching like Firecake dismantle Puck, and Puck just like threw tons and tons of Zealots and resources at him, and it was like, yeah, he tried all this harass, but at the end of the day, you're actually throwing like maybe 5-6K minerals and Zealots into static defense when your opponent's army doesn't cost resources. Abducts the mothership, it recalls away.
Oh, but now the army's vulnerable here, Nathanius, and I don't think there's any High Templars with it, and even if they are, the Locusts can just march forward now. There's no invisibility cloak defending them. So he does back off out of there. But wow, who traded more efficiently out of that trade? Well, I almost think...
I mean,
Firecake every time, and 30,000 lost compared to 17,000. Wow.
That speaks volumes about Swarm hosts.
I do like how, if we look at Rain's third base, though, we see that he's completely stopped mining minerals at Rain's third base. Because he can just mine from other bases, the exterior bases that he's more likely to lose. So mine from those bases much quicker, can always go back to your third base to mine, whereas these bases, the potential for Swarm Host to kill these, well, it's much, much higher. So just little intricate details in Rain's play. And now, mounting a big Tempest army. I like this.
Yeah, gets a pylon on the right side of the map as he's preparing to push into that gold base that Firecake is now trying to take.
Big volleys of Tempest here. Oh, the recall. Is he going to recall? Is he going to recall?
Mothership, no! Kills it!
That's a huge, huge loss there.
Just, it doesn't, like, when Firecake plays like this, he's not made a single mistake where Rain's been able to get an edge. Like, just now, these 2 Warp Prisms get in. This is basically the closest thing to a mistake that he's made, but how much is there here for him to really kill aside from the tech buildings?
Zealots? Okay, 15 Zealots all at once? To make this worthwhile...
That is a mineral patch of Zealots. That's a whole mineral patch.
A whole mineral patch of Zealots. And if he gets the Hive, then it is worth it. And if he gets like a spawning, a few other tech structures as well, it kind of is. But man, that's a huge, huge investment here. So 1 hatch down, Hive down, so no more Vipers join the field. So every Viper that you kill, but look at the production tab, another Hive is on the way for 5K.
A backup layer.
So resources lost tab, and yet again, this is a trade that Firecake's quite happy to take, and he's putting pressure on this base.
That base.
Is the Mothership core morphing into a Mothership again?
I love that there's just so many locusts. Like, yeah, I can just quick target fire down that Nexus because, well, you can kill anything now. It doesn't matter. He's trading effectively because
losing
there's no
Colossi
mothership
here, even, Nathan.
There's no mothership. Now, all the Colossi
3 Colossi died at this point in time.
Ah, boy.
So the Mothership core, it's only just being constructed, Nathan. And sure, Firecake's losing parts of his main base, but hey, a few Hydras on the way, and he didn't really need it anyway. Oh, this is a nice little run by, though, stopping the mining here, but man, killing bases at this point in time, it doesn't really matter because your opponent's got a 6/6/6 bank to work with anyhow.
Firecake is he's controlling too well with this swarm with the Vipers and the Corruptors that he can't step out of his base, and Rain is just the classic case of the Protoss player who tries to harass a lot and then just, you know, like, yeah, you deny this base, but he's gonna get those minerals eventually, and you're not actually taking out as many resources when you kill that as he's taking from you because you still threw away like 20+ Zealots.
Yeah, this is no longer like killing one base. Oh, I slowed down his economy. He's already got the economy. What you're looking for now is efficient trades around the map, and these are not it. It's not it.
What Firecake has set himself up for is something that, if you think about your mindset going into a game, when Firecake picks this strategy, from the get-go, he's thinking about this game at the hour 30 mark. Rain's strategy is not taking that into consideration, and he's got a pretty small bank, so to speak of, compared to his opponent because of that. Yeah. And he doesn't really have a great answer to the Swarm Hosts anymore.
He's got realistically no answer to the Swarm Host. And I mean, what do the Swarm Hosts do right now? Well, I mean, you can't march into Swarm Host with your High Templars, so that kind of keeps your air units alive, but man, like, he can't march into these Spore Crawlers either. Like, if he starts marching towards them, he's just going to get abducted. He's just going to get killed, and this is a lot of Spore Crawlers, Nathan.
Yeah, look at Rain's bank. And think about all the zealots that all the zealots that he's been throwing in and out of these warp prisms. I think he just moved a few. He just warped something else, and I think maybe a few more zealots to that into the warp prisms that were in the old natural of Firecake. But
okay.
I mean, take that Nexus again.
So the Mothership is back on the field. Trying to take
I love that Firecake's strategy is just Rain harasses until Rain has no money left, and then he just dies.
If it works, man, if it works.
Like Rain, like all this harass, I firmly believe that this harass this whole entire game has done very little other than put Rain in a position where he can't possibly win because Firecake just has too much money and can eventually just take really bad trades where his ability to replenish his forces makes it okay.
You're totally right. You're totally right. Like,
man, I hope I never have to play. Well, thank God I don't play Protoss.
Thank God you don't play Protoss, and thank God you have the choice to not play mech against this.
Yeah.
Because this...
I mean, I've had some ugly games versus Swarmhouse, but if a Zerg that knows how to play Swarmhouse versus Terran beats you with it, the games are still over pretty fast, because you run out of bank much faster with how quick your army, you know, dies and is rebuilt.
But we talk about, like, this is actually a scary army, but is this Mothership kind of a bit of miss micro here, but that's the Mothership call down again. Oh, look at this
he fungals. He's like, yep. Little snacks. These Void Rays can't run away when they're fungled.
Yep.
That's a very
That reminds me of The
expensive
Land
loss.
Before Time. Have you ever seen that?
Oh. Now I'm thinking about the sad parts of that movie, though.
That part's where?
Everybody dies.
Well, only one dies. It's like long neck mom and dad or something.
Ben.
Well, I mean, Rain's dying right now, dude. I think this is equally as sad. Wow, trying to engage this head-on is Firecake. This is kind of ballsy. Huge fungals going down.
Yeah, I mean, he fungals it. The Corruptors run in, and like we said, that bank is so high. He can afford to trade very cost and effectively because look how small Brain's bank is. He can't rebuild this army.
He can't rebuild it. He won't rebuild it. And Firecake, he's still maxed despite this fight going on. And why? He's just been producing Corruptors the whole time. And
Yeah.
man, great
He's like,
engagements
oh,
by Firecake
did I
every
have
time.
to have to rebuild 20 Corruptors? No worries, mate. I've still got 8K, 5K, and Rain's he's gonna end this game possibly floating gas, asking himself like, damn.
Did Rain go back to his third base to mine from it, given that he lost the other bases? Yes. So I mean, that was kind of like a bank, you know.
That was a very smart, educated play, but it's like even now rebuilding this Nexus is a massive chunk of his resources that he's potentially not going to get back.
Oh man.
I mean, at that point, I'd let him warp those in and just kill what comes out of him.
So just, you've
Yeah,
been
it's
killing me
like-
the whole game, man. Okay, let's have a look at this resources lost tab again. This is so gnarly, Nathan. And he's still just sitting pretty with a 7K, 5K bank.
Yep, and that bank of rain, look at it. It's pretty much gone. What are his potentially last dollars he
7
spends this game?
Archons.
Oh well, I guess he won't end up floating gas, but I still don't see any way that this is going to break the 20+ swarm hosts on the map.
No, I mean, Archons are not good at dealing. Oh, they have splash to deal with Locust, but the Locust, they got decent range against the Archons, and
It's like, yes, I traded 3 Archons for 5,000 Locusts. Well, guess what? There's another 5,000 coming, and you're not building any more Archons after this.
no. And these High Templars marching forward. That's a large Hydralisk ball too, with Queens mixed in. They'll take a lot of Tempest shots, and here, I think we're going to see the final engagement happen pretty soon. But Firecake, if he's the Firecake that we all know and love, he will make this last as long as it possibly can, and he's just kiting Rain back here. He's doing everything he can to keep him on the creep, and he's not taking a full-on engagement. He's not risking any chance of losing, and
Yeah, Rain's hating life right now.
he's hating life right now, just abducting him into his world of pain, and GG is called after 43 minutes. Firecake, man, he kind of like... Have you seen the George Foreman against Muhammad Ali fight?
I was actually
The
just...
Rumble in the Jungle?
I don't think I've seen that fight.
Well, I'll tell you what happens.
I like that you brought up boxing, though, because I actually was just watching a lot of Mike Tyson videos yesterday.
Well, I'm going to tell you what happens, right? So George Foreman, he's bigger and he's stronger than Muhammad Ali.
Is he the grill guy, just to clarify?
He is.
Okay.
But he was the world heavyweight champion of the world, like, for quite a long
See,
time.
I didn't know that. All I know is
Well, guess what? Muhammad Ali goes into the ring, and he knows this guy's bigger than him, stronger than him. He wears him out for something like 8 rounds. Like, just literally takes a beating. That's exactly what Firecake was doing that game. Just letting, Rain try and beat him up, just deflecting everything. Then finally it was just like, hey, you've just used your whole bank. You've just worn out everything on me. Now I'm going to take you out. Like, really, really nice play by Firecake. And, we all whine about Swarm Host and what have you. But he makes it work.
Firecake played that perfectly.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that he gets like the static defense and he has it works just long enough until, you can warp in 15 zealots at once. But at that point, he's like, yes, a mineral patch of units. You're going to kill a macro hatch when I've already got, a dozen other hatcheries on the
8.
map. Yeah, with enough queens to inject them until the end of time. Go ahead.
Sure, if you had infinite resources to work with,
then yeah, warp in zealots until Kingdom Come. But
TT, zealots here, kill everything you
it's
can.
important to note
it's not
that
anymore.
Yeah, it's important to note that one of the reasons why swarm hosts are so good on maps like that is because there's very low number of bases.
It's a war of attrition.
Yeah, your opponent will run out of resources much faster and it wouldn't happen on that map. But if that happened on a map like Infernal Pools or maybe even Catalina, which I don't think it will, you have so many more bases that the Protoss can take and try to throw the resources at and really make it work. But not on Vonnie Research Station.
So now the next map will be Expedition Lost, which is another map with a gold base. So that is another map that kind of favors Zerg, especially with the back entrance.
Yeah. This would be another game where you could Bly him.
That being said, Protoss Aggression is very good on this map too.
Yeah, okay. I'll give you that too.
Like 4 gate. It's very good.
But has Rain shown us that that's how he likes to roll? Maybe after that game, he's just like, you know, forget this, man.
What is life?
It's like, you know, eventually, like that game, that's pretty much like Saw, man. He spent enough time there. He's just like, he basically just killed himself throughout all of his attempts to get out.
Yeah.
He was his own worst enemy.
You're liking Saw, aren't you? You're like,
I was talking to someone about horror movies
how's that
lately.
fit in an analogy with Saw? Oh yeah.
To me, that's what I think about when I think about Stormhost players, though, because you're not playing StarCraft. You're playing like beat the clock of how long you can survive.
Sorta, but I mean, if you let a player get into his comfort zone with Swarmhost...
Let's be fair. He did let Firecake get up to 83 drones at 10 minutes.
Yeah, and like a lot of the time, as soon as you know what game you're going to be playing, you switch the tempo. It's no longer about sacrificing Zealots to kind of slow him down when he's already hit his pace. It's about getting together an army that can deal with Swarmhost Viper Corruptor pretty well, which is that mass air army. And we've seen players like... Did you see the Hero against Curious game? On Fox, it lasted like an hour.
Yeah.
Like, Hero kind of realized very early on that, hey, I can no longer deal damage around the map, and any damage I do deal around the map, it's not slowing down his progress, it's just me trading inefficiently and stopping me from making another Tempest army once this one dies. So, I really think Rain didn't click on quick enough into, like, changing gear. Like, he was very tunnel visioned on dealing damage around the map, but Firecake, with that amount of static so early on, he just handled himself very, very, very well.
I'm very interested to see what happens this time around, or what he's going to go for.
Okay, I thought the drone was going to the gold there.
You were dreaming there for a little bit.
Wow, Firecake just likes to take these third, or, you know, bases quite far away, just at like 16 supply rather than 15. He does everything with his own little twist on it, whether it's more efficient or not.
Very confident play.
But he is 2-1 up against My Insanity's Rain, so yeah, he should be feeling confident, man. And he didn't beat him with gimmicky play. He beat him with his own style and did it very well. Oh, okay. 3 hatch before pool.
Yeah,
I mean, Nathan. And he's against the Nexus first into Gateway. Man.
So he's going to get away with this scot-free.
Getting away with murder, Nathan. Getting away with murder.
There's no way Rain's just going to let him drone up as much as he did last game, right? He's got to do something a little more aggressive this game. Although I guess Firecake probably won't go Swarmhost this map though. There's a couple more bases to work with, a couple more angles. You're vulnerable from the ground.
We've seen Firecake do very different things in this series, like speedling all in.
Well, this map, when he played against Mana in the group stage,
we went the Mass Ling, right?
Yeah,
he busted through the wall.
Yeah, he had a lot of very active forces out on the map.
I mean, he's getting an early gas, which would indicate that he's going for speedlings. Normally, if you go for anything else, it's like double gas slightly later on in time, around like the 6-minute mark. But, yeah, we'll see where this goes. This Overlord gets a full scout off of when, how many gases, the Nexus first. In fact, was it? It was the Nexus first into Gateway, into Cybernetics Core. Okay, so he knows that. I now know that too.
So probe's going to go towards the gold base. And if you can keep the probe here, I mean, you talked about this the last time that we saw PvZ on this map. If you get a pylon at that mineral patch, you can freely send units between the natural or the third base. So you got a lot of options.
Like you have to run units all the way around to try and deal with it. And if you have units on the low ground, such as like sentries and stalkers, then you just kind of force field it off and deal damage to them. Save it up.
Yeah.
But we'll get to see what the because Rain, he's the guy that's going to be dictating the pace of this game now with what he chooses to do. He got to see which bases Firecake took and when he took them. He went for the Nexus first build. He can kind of go into anything. So he's getting Warp Gate. Hasn't invested in any tech yet. So he's getting 2 more gates at the front here, which Firecake does spot and gets away with the Overlord. That's always nice.
Now, if we compare this to like the game where he went for that Forge on Overgrowth before his additional gateways, I think this leans into much more chance. And there, with another gateway being added on, I was about to say it leads into much more chance for aggressive play. And he's basically saying, "Yeah, screw this. We're not doing that dance again."
And he's going to deny scouting. I don't believe this Overlord's going to get to see this in time. And okay, this is big though. He only saw 3 probes on those gases. 2 on one, 1 on the other.
Yeah, if he was paying attention to that.
Whether he was paying attention, that's the big thing then, Nathanius, because he's still actually droning up here.
He will only be able to build Zerglings. Okay, Roachwarn starting up now.
Another gas here. I mean, if he identified it properly, it's only going to be a few Stalkers on the field, then Zealots from that point on. This is a very aggressive... He's not seen any of this, Nathan. He's got nothing out on the map to see this.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very tricky. He's getting a pylon super close. He has one at that gold that we talked about.
Still droning. He hasn't spotted this at all.
He's got some lings coming out, but not enough.
Oh, and they have speed, but man, seeing that walk in there, this pylon right outside your base, not the good news for Firecake. And after getting killed in the most excruciating way possible, Rain piling on the pressure here.
Yeah, Firecake definitely caught off guard by this. He's not lost drones yet, but this hatchery should definitely die. I don't see any way that he's able to save this. He can always run the drones away. The Zerglings are going to come from behind. I like that he built 2 pylons, so these Zealots can actually back up against it, but also he can't deny any Warpins from coming in to reinforce
using
this.
The drones to fight here. This is not going to be a trade that Firecake wants to take anytime soon. 10 drones down. Zealots on the side with the Lings. Yeah. The Stalkers and the Zealots on the side with the drones. And I mean, this third...
And these Roaches are going to be like birds right in between all of these, so they get picked off one by one. Not able to fight as a mass, as a unit, together.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Rain has expertly chosen his build and done a very good job of executing it.
A really damn good job by Rain. And while Firecake's trying to do his best, splitting this army, dealing with it on one side, but, you know, Rain's got just enough on both sides, and an overwhelming army is in the natural of Firecake now. He's taken out the third. Zealot Stalkers in huge numbers here, just flooding in.
Yeah, this should be Rain's way to tie the series up. And definitely a series that's gone a distance to Muslim. The only series we'll have that will have gone to map 5 in the first round of the winners bracket here at the Fragbite Masters.
And man, these games, they've been really close too, and GG is called by Firecake. So 2-2 this series is. So yeah, we've seen crazy games so far. Once I get to see the maps in the bottom of the screen, I'll be able to like have my mind refreshed. So Deadwing, that was... In fact, I've totally forgot what happened on Deadwing.
Deadwing was the game where you got him with the Speedling.
The Speedling all in. Then we had the fast gold and the 4 bases and just kind of throwing units at Rain.
And then Rain just kind of weathering the storm and eventually building up a force that couldn't be stopped.
Varney, we got to see Firecake in Firecake's final form.
Yes, his swarm hosty, Cthulhu-like presence of just death on the map.
And then Rain, in the 4th game when Expedition lost, changed the tempo entirely, went from the solid Macrotoss that we all know and love into one of the cheesiest Protosses on the planet.
Just 7-gated him.
Well, I love how he did that, though. He just went 7 gates and he put 3 probes on gas only. And he divided it up, by the way. And the reason that you do that, if you have 3 probes on a single gas, it's not as efficient as having 2 probes and 1 probe on a gas.
And also seeing the 2 assimilators, when you look at the guy's base, you're like, okay, it's like, well, I know he had took these 2 gases at a reasonably early time, so I don't expect him to be focusing on a mineral-based build. And that was just really smart by Rain to be able to sell that to him. As a Protoss, that's what most of those attacks are bargaining on, because Firecake was building drones up until the moment where the Warpins hit his 3rd base.
I feel that if Firecake locked onto that, though, and saw that how the probes were divided onto those gases...
Yeah, then you immediately, like, you throw a bunch of spines...
He could have, like, he was still droning at that point. Like, that is a really big deal, guys. Like, if you have 3 probes on 1 gas, like, to talk about the income, I think if you have full saturation on gases, on 2 gases, it's like 224 gas per minute or so, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you have 2 probes on a gas, it's something around like 96. So that 3rd probe is way less efficient. It's more like between 20 and 30. So the other 2 probes are like around 40-ish. So that division there, that is so acute and small. It's a very minor detail, but it gives away everything. So if Firecake could have really locked onto that, he could have identified that, hey, this guy, he's not going for gas. What does that mean when Protoss is involved?
It's only one thing, man.
Zealots. Because, I mean, you need gas. You need gas for Stalkers,
big gateway play.
Immortals, Sentries, any sort of tech. So the fact that he could have ruled that out just by that scout without actually seeing the gateways, I think that was key in that series. Or, in fact, just that game.
Very, very important turning point in that game. His not making that read. So for Catalina, not a map that generally anybody makes swarm hosts work on. So
Catalina, wow.
To finish the series, it's also a pretty solid map for Mutalisk play in the long run because you have a lot of airspace, and we'll be paying very close attention to the spawns that the players have, especially when we talk about things like Mutalisks or Warp Prisms, since that bottom right spawn to Muslim.
Yeah, I mean, it's less important for this matchup, but still, it could play...
It could end up having a pretty big impact.
Having Mutalisk being able to, like, swoop into the main and then choosing to go into the
and
natural,
then bounce to the natural. That's a huge...
And just having a huge exit point of either base, you know, with Mutalisk, it could come into fruition. That being said, what are we going to look for on this map? Well, very much so depends on the builds. If we saw Soulkeeper on this map, we could probably see a 9 pool, and then the drone scout, and just kind of playing pretty from that point on. But
Soul Key Madness.
These guys, they're different fish here, and they're showing us very different styles in each game. So looking very forward to see. And in fact, I'm not going to predict anything. I'm just going to watch this and admire.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see how this series ends. It's been a pretty crazy one with these two bad boys throwing their fists up. I think Reign's got to feel happier knowing that this is not really a map that, or, you know, at least this not being a map where swarm hosts are as effective. There's way too many different pathways you can run around, and you can also play a long game much more easily since there's just more bases that you're generally going to have to work with.
Certainly is, Nathanias. So this Overlord just kind of didn't really know where he wanted to go there. Both the Overlords heading to the left, by the way. I always thought you'd divide up your Overlords, like one going to each natural of your possible opponents, given that it is a 3-player map. Ooh, Gas first for Firecake.
Gas first versus a Forge with 2 Probe Scouts. So he wants to Cannon Rush Firecake.
And Firecake
wants to Speedling Rush him. I feel like this should favor Reign since he can get he can finish his wall if he scouts this, and he should be able to see it. So he should be able to just finish his wall, take a late Nexus, but Firecake can't really get a crazy fast hatchery when he does this build anyway.
I mean, when you go for the Forge, he's going for the Cannon Rush here, like, unquestionably. But upon seeing his opponent doesn't have a hatchery and has gone for this build...
You can't Cannon Rush someone like that.
No, you can't. And... in fact, okay, so the fact that Reign didn't follow that drone, and you just see that he's gone for gas. Oh, he's pulling off gas here. So he has scouted it. Okay, okay. Now, is that because it's just timed out well? He won't have the minerals to work with this? So Reign throws down a Nexus? He's going to be able to complete this wall, too. Going to go for a very early Queen, so it's not totally all in, and he's throwing down the hatchery.
It feels weird, like Firecake actually took all his drones off the gas before he started speed.
I mean, look at the mineral count. He can't really get speed here anyhow, even if he had that gas. So he's playing a very macro-centric speed opening, and this kind of throws off your opponent. So the 100 is hit. Now he gets speed. So he went about that in a very weird way. I wonder if he didn't get scouted as early as he did, would he have went for this? Not sure, not sure. But as we see, Reign, with a full wall off, gets his Nexus up pretty darn quickly, too.
I feel like with the way that the Nexus is timed versus the...
hatchery?
Yeah. I think, forgetting words randomly. I feel like this is still like close enough that it's not like huge one way or the other, but Reign could be a little bit happy since you generally want to be on the same base count as the Zerg.
Having Speedlings out on the map is always nice for denying pylons.
Yeah, but this is a hard map to get a third anyway, so I definitely will say the pylons are more of a thing to focus on, as that would be his way to harass a third base of Firecake.
Certainly, and Reign is kind of suspicious about the possibility of Zerglings running into his base, so he's using that probe for a wall in. And if he is rushed by Zerglings, he can immediately throw up a pylon. But yeah, that's just him playing safe because he did get Zergling rushed in game 1. So, you know, he's not taking any risks this game. It's nice play by him. Gets to see these Zerglings at his ramp here. And yeah, a little bit of a Mexican standoff here, both facing away from each other.
It's like, I can't kill you, but I know you can't do anything to kill me.
Exactly, and now the Zealot's out, now the wall can be formed and the probe goes back to work. So that was very careful play. Didn't want to get Zergling rushed there by any means, because, you know, the final game of the series, when you worked for it as hard as Reign has, and just have Zerglings flood in through a little gap in your wall where you're like, yeah, he probably won't Zergling all in me, right? And then he does. I mean,
it's like, wrong.
Nightmare, nightmare. So Firecake getting his third base, playing very greedy from this point on, which he can. These Zerglings will run around the map. They'll get to detect if there's any probe, if he does find it. And yeah, he's safe with these Zerglings on the map here.
Now the question to Muslim is, what does Rain do on this map where that third base is so much trickier than on others?
So his opponent's gone for a Speedling build, which he knows about, which automatically puts his economy at a bit of a deficit. Got scouted, didn't get to do anything with it, and he's taking all 4 gases while getting +1. Now, if we think about what happened on Overgrowth, where his opponent took a really fast gold, and he went for a build very similar to this, with this macrocentric opening, I think Rain's just going to opt to play for the same style that he did on Overgrowth. The Sentries, getting +2, Blink Stalkers, and eventually heading towards Colossi. Because that was a game that he shouldn't have won, and he managed to make it work despite his opponent having a gold. He went for a very greedy opening with that and didn't kill him, whereas this game, he put himself at a deficit with his build, so I think that'd be a beautiful choice.
That's a beautiful analysis to Muslim, because I think if Spirecake can't go...
Spirecake!
If Spirecake can't go, and this is actually one adjustment that I love, which we actually pointed out on Overgrowth being a potential weakness, his lack of mobile detection. Burrow, very, very smart switch up. But if he can't play Swarmhost the same way that he did on Vani Research Station, then Rain should, the only other thing he's seen from him is that upgradeless mass unit style, which he was able to slowly grind out against with a +2 Blink Stalker opening.
I love that you call him Spirecake. I'm going to stop
I mean, I didn't...
Splain. Splain versus Spirecake.
You make it sound like I intentionally call him Spirecake.
I know it just slipped out, but then you called him Spirecake again.
Well, I said it again because you baited me, Ben.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, dude. Splain does take a third base here.
Yeah. To be fair, Splain is that's a common slang.
Splain? For what?
Yeah. Splain yourself.
Oh,
Splain yourself, boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't think about that, Nathan. Didn't think about that. But
visit America more often. These Zerglings trying to catch these sentries, but yeah, he's got enough force. There's not a lot of Zerglings.
I feel that me and Rain are one right now. He's doing exactly what I thought would be best, and you know, I think he might. In fact, the fact that Firecake manages to get such sick drone counts, though, he's not scared of anything.
Yeah.
Like, he's up to 68 drones right here, going for the Spire. Wow, he's mixing it up.
With no Colossi in sight, this is like, if it's got to be just a big Roach Ling thing into Mutalisks, right? He can't do much else. He is doing something that we didn't see in his non-Swarmhost game, the Evolution Chambers.
Yeah, like, you know, for Firecake, with everything that he's seen, though, and he's seen his opponent's got +1, he's seen his army composition. Oh, I mean, if he gets to take this fight, this would be sick cool for Firecake, and if he gets to pick up any sentries, which he is, he's picking up a lot of sentries here.
He's actually killing every single one. Range is GG's.
Oh my